Ms. Howard, you may
Okay.
begin.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I am Michelle Howard. I'm Director for the Small Business Programs Office, and I bring greetings to you this morning from our General Manager, Randy Clark, and our VP Chief Procurement Officer, Ms. Fifi Magosi. So good morning to everyone. I'm excited about our presentation today, Leading from Within, Managing Emotions and Prioritizing Self-Care Through Uncertainty by Ms. Christy Venable this morning. This is in collaboration with our partners at the DC Small Business Development Center. At WMATA, your participation is key, and we encourage all small businesses to get certified with WMATA. So please go to our website, check it out, look at our programs, and then connect with us in that realm. We are definitely open for business, and we want you to be a part of our contracting opportunities. We will always be your metro, the way forward. So again, I want to thank you for being here. Make sure to put all questions in the chat. Please put all questions in the chat, and remember to fill out your surveys that will be sent to you after the presentation. These surveys are very important to us because they help us to plan programs, events, and things that can benefit or support your business development and your business growth. So again, take notes. Make sure that you put your questions in the chat. At this time, I would like to bring on my partner, my colleague, Mr. Charles Mott from the DC Small Business Development Center at Howard University in Washington, D.C. He will be introducing our speaker this morning. Charles is currently the Associate Director there with both administrative and business counseling responsibilities. Charles has 40 years in the defense and management consulting industries with large and small business firms in management and team leader capabilities. He has over 30 years of experience and knowledge in small business management and leadership and management as a business owner, an employee, a business counselor, and a consultant with small firms. He has a certificate in project management from the University of California, Berkeley, as well as in new ventures and small business management from Cal State. He is a certified project management professional, PMP, with the Project Management Institute. And at this time, I'd like to turn things over to Charles so that he can introduce to you our speaker this morning. Charles?
Michelle, my friend, thank you so much for that great introduction as always. We appreciate the collaboration with Metro, this multi-year collaboration with Metro to provide great speakers and great content to the small business audience. I bring greetings from our Executive Director, Carl Brown from the SBDC, and also from the team there. Also want to, for those of you who are on this broadcast who are not familiar with the SBDC or Small Business Development Center, we are a partially grant-funded program through the SBA. Our funding is both from the SBA and also from Howard University, who is our host. We have sister organizations in every state and U.S. territory, and we provide a variety of services, including confidential counseling, assistance with access to capital. We provide industry research and also collaborative events like this, and also our own educational webinars and workshops. I have the pleasure now of introducing our speaker today. And I'd like to start out with a little bit of information about her first. Christy Venable is a licensed professional counselor and an award-winning business owner, corporate wellness expert, AI consultant, organizational leadership and cultural change agent, and keynote speaker. She is a certified Gallup Strength Finder coach. She is the founder of Smile Therapy Services, a mental health, wellness, and consulting company that she built from the ground up. Smile's mission is to change the way workplace views and responds to mental health and wellness in and AI integration. Christy and her team have worked with Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and nonprofit organizations, improving employee well-being, and transforming the workplace culture with preventative mental health solutions, leadership development training, and successful AI integration by improving psychological safety. Christy has done a variety of workshops or webinars, that is, with the SBDC, and we think it's so important that the focus not only be on the dollars and cents and processes and technology and so on, but Christy brings a unique perspective in the sense that, and I'm quoting an analogy in that you have to put the air mask on yourself first before you can help anybody else, and especially for leaders and organizations that you have to address self-care, which is the key word in the title of this presentation. You have to focus on self-care before you can help anyone else. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Christy to share some great information with you today.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring my presentation up, and you're absolutely right. It's prioritizing, your own self-care, putting that oxygen mask on first, especially as a leader and as a business owner. And so welcome everyone. First, I want to thank the team at WMATA for having me. I am always excited to speak about self-care, especially for business owners. Being a business owner, I know how important this is. And I also know that we do not have these conversations enough. And so I'm glad that everyone joined us today. So today we will be focusing on leading from within, managing emotions, and prioritizing self-care through uncertainty. And so as I got that a beautiful introduction. Really my goal has been to change the way people view and respond to mental health and wellness. And that is for business owners, that is for workplaces, government agencies, corporations. That has been my sole focus. So my team and I are all licensed mental health clinicians, and of course some coaches as well. But we really go into corporations, organizations, assessing it, and then really helping them to put interventions in throughout the year, right? Changing their view and really taking a preventative stance on mental health and wellness. So that's really our goal. And then we just kind of got into some AI. We know that's big. And so I'm going to round up the conversation with how do you effectively utilize AI, especially as a business owner, to help you minimize burnout? So that's what we'll be going today. So here are our objectives. We are going to really learn how uncertainty affects our brain and body, discover evidence-based coping strategies. We're going to develop some leadership skills, but also resilience through practical techniques. And then we're going to round it up by, you really looking at how do you create your personalized action plan so that you can make sure that you are stable in this realm of uncertainty that we're dealing with. So I wanted to kick us off. Let's talk about some stressors, right? And we probably could be here all day, but I just want you to name what's one professional stressor that you're currently facing, and what's one personal stressor that may be impacting you right now. So let's go to the chat. What's actually going on with us? What are some of the things that are impacting how we're doing, how we're feeling right now? So I'll go ahead and monitor the chat. But if you all can put your answers in there, what are some of your stressors that you're dealing with? I know for a lot of business owners, this political climate has really impacted us. Some not for the good. And so that has been a stressor for many of us, especially last year when so many things changed in the federal government space. So I know that was a huge professional stressor for many of us. So let me see. I see some things coming in. New rules for small business, okay? Economic uncertainty, yes. The political climate and sustainability. The new war, tax season, yes. Tax season always a stressor. And then this, war that we are starting, I guess. Taxes, yes. Definitely can be a stressor for small business owners. And so we have so many different things that we are managing, right? Whether it's professional stressors or workplace stressors, whether it's personal stressors like family stress, and all of those things, I want you to really think about how are you managing all of that stress? You know the different stresses that you're dealing with. How are you managing that? And I want you to just kind of sit with that as we go through the presentation. So we're going to do something that I think we don't stop and do as much as we should, right? We know that we breathe every day, right? We have to breathe to live. But are you actually taking a moment to breathe? And so we're going to do that. I like to start off all of my presentations with just a mindful moment. Um, and so if you are seated in a safe space and, maybe in your office or whatever, go ahead and put both of your feet flat on the ground. Sit back and up inside of your chair. If you're comfortable and if you're safe, you can close your eyes. If not, you can just kind of take a daze. And we're going to take a couple of deep breaths. And so what I want us to do is I want us to breathe in for 4. We're going to hold it at the top for 4, and then we're going to breathe it out for 4. Okay. All right, let's get started. So breathe in, 2, 1, hold it at the top. 3, 2, 1. Now release. 3, 2, 1. We're going to do that 2 more times. Breathe in, hold at the top, breathe it out. One more time, breathe in, hold at the top, and breathe it out. Now, these next couple of times when you are breathing in, I want you just to roll your neck a little side to side, both sides, roll it around. And I also want you to roll your shoulders, right? So keep breathing. This helps to release any tension that you may feel. So keep rolling. We're going to do 2 more deep breaths. And breathe in. Hold at the top. Breathe it out. Last time, breathe it in. Hold at the top. And then you're going to breathe it out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the present. But know that anytime that you're overwhelmed, that you just have so much going on, we always have our breath. And this one simple exercise can help you to calm your nervous system, especially when you're managing a lot throughout the day. Okay. So take that tool with you and let's integrate it throughout our days. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay, so current environment, right? You all already start naming some things in the chat. Um, the political changes, right? Those are some of our different stressors. There are so many organizational restructuring. So like corporations, organizations, they are restructuring, right? Last year we saw a huge pullback with DEI. We're still seeing that. We're still in that. That impacts us. Someone also said economic stressors or changes. And then, like we mentioned, personal stressors. So we have so many different things that's going on in our environment right now that we are really just trying to manage it all. So what does that actually look like? So when we have all these different changes and things going on, that leads to uncertainty. And so just to spell some out, we talked about economic uncertainty. That looks like job insecurity. We saw so many people, right? Hundreds of thousands of people lost their jobs. Understanding that that essentially really impacts the economy, market volatility, financial pressures, especially as a business owner. If you lost any contracts and work last year, you saw that financial stress. Like we said, organizational change. So we saw a lot of restructuring. We saw new leadership, right? That shifts kind of priorities. And so now those priorities may not have aligned to our businesses or what we were doing. And so we saw so many people pivot last year, thinking about all of the DEI companies and how they had to pivot and really think about how they were going to survive. Um, Uncertainty, personal transition. So maybe relationship changes, right? Maybe you were up against some individuals that, whether it's family or friends or colleagues, who you guys had a close relationship, something changes. We saw a lot of differences as it relates to the political piece, and that actually fractured some relationships. Different health concerns. Many of us are managing different health challenges, and how does that actually impact us? But also the uncertainty of not knowing what that's going to lead to for us down the road. And then different just life milestones brings unfamiliar territory, right? Whether you have children, whether you have aging parents, all of those different things brings about uncertainty. And then, of course, global events, right? We are, I guess, out of the pandemic, but we are still seeing the impact of the pandemic, different climate events that we may have, and then this political tension. It is impacting all of our well-being, right? So many people are saying, especially the clients that we're working with, they're saying how they're so stressed out. They have so much anxiety around what's going on because they don't know what is going to happen. All of those different things bring about different emotions within us, right? And you can think about your own self as you are thinking about the uncertainty in your space, in your life. What are some of the emotions that are coming up for you? You can put them in the chat just so we can know that we all are experiencing similar emotions. And I'm going to talk about that in a few, what actually happens to our body when we deal with so much uncertainty, right? We're gonna talk about that. So to some facts, how uncertainty really contributes to our mental health. So a report showed that 60% of adults reported higher stress during times of uncertainty. We saw an increase in anxiety symptoms by 47% during periods of significant change. And then we also have seen a rise in depression that's associated with prolonged uncertainty. And then, of course, sleep, right? Let's see some reactions. Who is having issues with sleeping, like really getting a good night's sleep? You find yourself maybe whether you're waking up or whether you just can't stay awake, can't get to sleep. We are seeing an impact. 78% of people are having sleeping issues, right? They're not sleeping well, especially when we are in this season of uncertainty. So all of these things are how we are responding, how our bodies are responding to uncertainty. Now, here are some entrepreneur facts. So when I first started really looking up the correlation of mental health impacts on entrepreneurs. I mean, some things I feel like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But some things were like, wow, I don't think we are talking about this enough to prevent some of the things, right? So let's go over the facts. And you see um this photo here, it really kind of gives you different facts. And I want you to, especially for the entrepreneurs, I want you to really look at this and, and take this in. 72% of entrepreneurs are dealing with increased stress and anxiety. 49% are struggling with depression. Entrepreneurs are 3 times more likely to have substance abuse, right? So I want you to notice the language. So not substance use, but substance abuse. There's a difference. More than 60% of entrepreneurs suffer from sleep problems. And of course, entrepreneur burnout is really at an all-time high. And two of the main reasons for some of the burnout are the financial pressures that we are up against, but then the isolation. So feeling like or being kind of in this bubble or island on our own. Um, and I think we all can kind of, relate to that. But this fact, for me was the most eye-opening. Entrepreneurs are 2 times more likely to die by suicide. And, for me, that's alarming. And this is compared to kind of, the regular person that is, not an entrepreneur, to our colleagues that are not entrepreneurs. And so I want us to think about the why behind the statistics, right? And you can throw some things in the chat. Why do you think that we experience such high stress and anxiety? Right? I think we all know. Um, as entrepreneurs, we are always focused on our next, right? Because what does that next contract look like? How do we keep these contracts? How do we make sure we're having enough financials to survive, right? If you have a team, you have additional financial stress, making sure that you're meeting payroll, which is a huge stressor. All the pressures that we have as entrepreneurs, and I see some things coming in the chat. There's so many pressures, and I don't think that we even think about you're dealing with so many different pressures every day, multiple things. Fighting through the no's, right? Fighting through the rejections, from these different corporations, organizations, government agencies. And so that does bring a lot of stress onto us. And so I see some things coming in the chat from Allison. Hey, Allison. Pressure to cover expenses, personnel, professional development, yes. To do the work that's aligned with your values, that's a major one. When our values are out of line, it automatically causes stress for us, right? Even if we don't realize it. Poor treatment from clients. That's a major one. And I think as business owners and entrepreneurs, we feel like, or not feel like, because we do, right? We have to make sure that we are providing the up level, the most highest level customer service to our clients. But what about when you do have those not so great clients who feel like they can really, right? If we're being honest, treat you however they want because you need the work, right? Or you need this contract. And so I think that's a conversation that we don't have enough for the individuals who are on the other side of the business owners. I just did a workshop with MWA just like last week or the week before. And I think something that I appreciated was the small business team essentially, after giving the presentation, they said, you know what? We have to change how we're looking at small business owners and how we're responding to them, right? Because the people in the seats, procurement and program managers, all the things, they may just see us as, this number of companies that's just trying to get work or whatever. But this is our livelihood. This is how we feed our families, right? This is how we help our employees feed their families. And so I think if the people behind the contract see us differently and actually respond to us differently, like responding to our emails when we send them, right? Sometimes if that's a thing, then we also will just have better mental wellness in general. So that's something, that I definitely want to make sure that, we talk about. Small business owners are human first. And so, it's really important for us to understand how just being a entrepreneur slash business owner really impacts our mental health. And I see something that came in the chat, the isolation. So many friends and family have regular jobs. Yes. And unfortunately, for those friends and family who are not, who doesn't really understand this world of entrepreneurship, they can't understand. They don't understand our challenges. They can't understand even where we come from, right? And so it's helpful for you to have a network of other business owners who do understand you so that you can get that support. Thank you all for sharing in the chat. So let's talk about how does uncertainty actually impacts the brain and body. So you can see the different responses. So brain response. And so it's not just, oh, I'm stressed out or whatever. It actually is a real impact to us. And so I want us to fully understand that. And so here's how our brain responds. Our amygdala becomes hyperactive, right? And so I'm not going to go too much science-y on you, but most of us learn in biology about our prefrontal cortex functioning, and what that actually does for us. So we see that when we're super stressed, that functioning level actually decreases for us. Our decision-making abilities are impaired. But when our amygdala is hyperactive, we start to get elevated cortisol levels. And so just let me explain what cortisol actually does. So cortisol is released when our body feels like we are, whether it's like not safe, under attack. So it releases this cortisol to actually help us, right? Help deal with it. But if we're in this steady, constant, I am elevated, feel like I'm unsafe, and our cortisol levels are just constantly being released, then it will eventually drive us to a place where our bodies will shut down on us. Okay. So that is the risk of what we're up against. And so it's not just we have to focus on our self-care and our mental health just because it actually deteriorates our body, both brain and our physical body. So something else we may experience, right? Muscle tensions, headaches. We may see digestive issues or may have stomach pain. And we may say, God, my stomach is always hurting. But not knowing what that's coming from. A lot of it comes from your increased stress and anxiety. And then you may see some shortness of breath. We talked about sleep disturbances. You also will see your immune system weaken. That's why when you're really stressed, you tend to get sick often. And so that's another thing that we have to worry about. And then our concentration or memory suffers, chronic pain or condition. So just looking at these different things, what one stands out for you, but then what are you experiencing? yourself. What are some things that you're experiencing? How about the tension and the headaches? Are you finding that you're having more tension, or you're getting headaches at a greater rate? And just to note, if you do get a headache, if it's in the back of your head, then that is a tension headache. And your body is signaling and telling you that you're stressed. And so you have to do something different. Our body speaks to us, but the question is, do we listen? And we definitely don't, right? We definitely don't listen. So just put in the chat, what are some different emotions and symptoms are you seeing as a result of um, some of the stress that you're dealing with? Go ahead and put in the chat. I'll go ahead and share out once it gets into the chat. But I want you to notice, what are you feeling? What are you dealing with that's really coming up for you? And as they come in, I'll share. But then I'll just let's go over how we actually respond. So when we are stressed and our body essentially is telling our brain is telling our body that we're not safe, here are the different trauma or responses or uncertainty responses that we get. And you may all have heard of these, right? And so it's the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. And so just to kind of quickly go over them, when we're in a fight response, you may find yourself getting very irritable, argumentative, right? You have a short fuse. That's your fight response coming out from you being stressed. Your flight response, you may find that you're procrastinating a lot. You may be avoiding people or situations because you're just like very stressed out. But you also may do a lot of busy work, just like try to keep yourself busy. That's a flight response. Then we have the freeze response, which many people go through, but they don't know that this is a actual like trauma response. This is when we get in a state where we may have so much stuff to do, but we don't do anything. It's just like we can't do anything. Um, like we're stuck and we kind of shut down. That's the freeze response. You also may have some decision paralysis. So we talked about that before. Like you just can't make a decision. It's very difficult for you. Mental fog. So who's having a lot of brain fog where you just like can't remember things, even small things like you forget. And then, like I said, shutting down from feeling very overwhelmed. So that's freeze response. And then the fawn response, was it something a slightly newer for people? Yes, I see it. Michelle said that mental fog is real. It is absolutely real. Okay. Um, this newer response is what we call a fawn response. And so many people actually have these behaviors, but I want you to know and put the name to it. So this is where you may do a lot of just people pleasing. You're doing things even that you may not even want to do, feel like doing, just to satisfy someone else, just to please someone else, suppressing your own needs, right? And then seeking approval. So finding that you always need validation from other people. That's a fawn response. And so I want you all to really take note of what response you are in during different times, right? And you can put a name to that now. And so these are just kind of how we react when we're in uncertainty. And thank you, Michelle. She says, tired, being restless, and can't sleep properly. Yes, or some are the things that's coming up for her. So let's recognize the signs. One, we have different symptoms when we're really stressed out, right? We named a few things, but then we have symptoms that are telling us that we're about to be at burnout. And so I want us to really understand the difference. We can be very stressed and experience some different emotions, but then we can be burnt out. And so just to give you an analogy, very stressed is when your car gets on, that light comes on, right? And say you're almost at E. That's very stressed. Burnout is when you are on E, when you are empty, right? You have no more gas left. You have no more capacity for anything. That is burnout. That's the difference. So here are some physical symptoms, right? What to add to all the things is chronic. So that means that 5 to 6 days out of the week, you're having these things: fatigue, chronic headaches, chronic, disruption in your sleep. Those are some physical signs. Same with cognitive, right? Just really cannot concentrate. You're seeing increased errors. Your memory is really so poor that now it's affecting your work quality. Some emotional indicators. You're detached. So, sometimes you're stressed, but you can still get the things done. But when you are at that point of burnout, you're going to detach from work. And so it's just going to be like you're numb. You're just kind of going through the motions. Don't really have any motivation or energy at all. That's an emotional indicator. And then some behavioral shifts. You may find yourself withdrawing, missing deadlines, right? Maybe you've never done that before. And then procrastinating to the max. So the difference is, really having these chronic symptoms and you're dealing with this every day, and then it's extreme and you feel like you have very low motivation. We have to make sure that we are recognizing the signs early. Okay. Recognize the signs early because it's difficult to come back from burnout. It's difficult to come back from burnout. All right, so now we're going to just touch on what are some ways to really help you manage your mental health and wellness. And so first, I have this quiz. If you are not on your phone, use your phone to scan this QR code and take our or my self-care quiz. So it's about 10 to 15 questions, but they all yes or no, so it shouldn't take you long to do. For anyone who's on your phone, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Give me 1 second so I can copy it. I'll drop the link in the chat if it's easier. And I'll give us a few moments to take the quiz. Let's take the quiz. No, what this quiz is doing, it is assessing how well are you actually taking care of yourself, right? So let's put everything on the table, right? Please answer the questions honestly. Don't answer how you think it should be answered. Answer it honestly, because what we have to do is we got to know, how are we actually doing, right? Truthfully, honestly, how are we doing? Because then we can say what we actually need to put in place to get better. So I'll give you a few minutes. When you finish answering all the questions, it's going to ask you to put your name and email so that it can send you the results. But once you put your name and email, it will also show you the results. I want you to drop in the chat your score. The score is going to be right up at the top, so pay attention because it's going to be small. Drop your score into the chat and then your category. So it's going to say self-care reboot needed. It's going to say self-care in progress, or it's going to say self-care superstar. So I want you to drop that into the chat so we can see who we actually have. Who do we have in a room as it relates to how well we're taking care of ourselves? So if you just joined us, please scan the QR code that is on the screen and take your self-care quiz. I'll drop the link in the chat just one more time, just in case you did not see it. You can scan the QR code or you can hit the link in the chat. Give us a few minutes so we can take it all yes or no. And let's see how we're
Christy,
doing.
this is Michelle. I'm gonna tell you, girl, this is some deep, good stuff, right?
Thank you.
Because you have me thinking, and while they're taking this quiz, I just wanted to kind of pop in here and say, you said that the quiz is like, how well are we really assessing ourselves and doing things for ourselves? But it made me think about the other part that you said, that sometimes we just black out and don't do nothing for ourselves. And it's easier for us to avoid ourselves and
Yep.
to just you do things for other people,
Yep.
right? Um, and I have to say I'm a little guilty.
We all
Because it's
are.
like when I don't want to deal with me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get to that. Okay, I'm gonna make that appointment. Okay,
Yep.
well, let me see what my daughter's doing. Okay, let me this co-work at work. Okay, well, let me get this report out. I'm making sure, I will put efforts in other things more than putting that effort in myself, because it's almost like I want to deal with it, but I don't want to deal with it.
Exactly.
But I know I got to keep pushing forward. So, so girl, let
Exactly.
me tell you, this is good stuff, Chrissy. Oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, so is she only talking to me? I'm like, this is good stuff. This is very good stuff. And I am now realizing, like, you're bringing to the forefront the importance of this. Like, this is more important because some of the stuff you said when you said early burnout systems, and you were talking about how it affects brain and body.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you what you did. You kind of triggered a memory. Like, okay, when you go to the doctors and they say, well, how much sleep are you getting?
Yep.
Is it anything that's pressuring you at this time? Because like when they do your blood work and they see your
Yep.
numbers and they ask you these different things, the doctors themselves are trying to assess what is it physically and mentally
Yep.
that you're going through that might cause a number to be up or
Yep.
down, or a little off from what the norm is supposed to be. And it
Yep.
goes back to this stuff that you're saying about how it affects the brain, how it affects the body. And to us, it's just like, oh, well, I might be having a little cold. Oh, I just got this minor headache. But we don't say, how often are we getting those things, right? Girl, I'm telling you, you're on it. You are on it today. Thank you for saying you would do this for us, girl. You are on it. So, okay, let me get off my soapbox now and let you get back to this, because this is good stuff, Chrissy.
But and thank you for sharing, how you are really connecting, because it's all of us. You are not alone, right? And that is essentially the why behind why we do what we do, because we are seeing it. The numbers don't lie. We are not taking good care of ourselves. We focus on everyone else but us. And I always have to challenge people to say, yes, you do this for your kids. Yes, you do this for your family or your parents or whoever. But if something happens to you today, then what? Then what's going to happen to your kids? What's going to happen to your family? What's going to happen to your parents, right? And so if we are not doing our own due diligence to make sure that we are good and to take care of ourselves, we are actually doing a disservice to everyone else that we actually have to take care of. Um, And so, we have to have more conversations about it. We're not talking about it enough. And people are right now stressed to capacity, and they are not effectively doing something about it until they end up in a hospital. And
No,
we are
you
seeing
were you
we're
you
seeing
were
it.
right.
We're
Yes, you were
seeing it.
right. And I'm telling you, whether you're personal or professional, because those of us who, like you said, leading their agencies, leading their companies, right? We are the leadership, we are the management, right? When you're in that capacity, it affects how you make a decision.
Yep.
Okay. When you are in a management or leadership position and you have all of these things going on, I mean, you got my brain working right now, Christy. I'm telling you, it affects how you make a
Yep.
decision either for your company. It
Yep.
affects as a manager, how do you make decisions for your people,
Yep.
right? Is this the best thing I can do for my staff? Well, maybe I shouldn't have made that decision concerning
Yep.
my staff. I should have, got another opinion or say, like, it really affects how we do things, right?
Yep.
Based on how we're feeling.
We still
And
have
you're
the
not
feeling,
supposed to have feeling always involved with some decision-making processes,
but we're
right? It
humans.
has to use facts and common sense a lot of times. And this stuff can affect all of that, girl.
Yep. Yep. It really can. It really can. And that's why we also really talk to corporations or organizations to say, how are you actually supporting your leaders? You have to remember, as a business owner, as a leader, we can't speak to or talk to everyone about how we're doing, how we're feeling, or what's going on with us, because one, is not appropriate, right? And so how do you then make sure that you are giving the support that your leaders need to run agencies, to run corporations, to run their own businesses? We're not doing enough of that, and we see that, right? We see that. So that is why we do the work that we do, to really allow people to change how they're even looking at supporting the employees, but also the leaders who have to manage all the people that's under them, and they may be experiencing the most mental health challenges because of their position. So you're absolutely right. Thank you all for putting your different scores, and everyone didn't, because I see a few people, on here. I want to see those scores in the chat. But I see a couple of self-care superstar. Congratulations. Let's give them a round of applause. That means you guys are doing a really good job with taking care of yourself holistically. And then the rest, I think one is nope, the rest of you guys, self-care reboot needed. Self-care reboot needed, right? And unfortunately, we have to have things be pushed in our face before we say, you know what, this probably is an area I need to focus on. That's why we created this quiz, to really have people say, you know what, I'm really not doing well, taking care of myself, and I do need to do better. So thank you all for taking it. Roger says also the impact of poor self-care can bleed into critical relationships. You're absolutely correct. And we mentioned that earlier. Detachment and avoidance can become prevalent. Yes, because you have to think about it. When you're overwhelmed, or when you're just not feeling up to it, sometimes you don't even want to talk to people, right? Let's be honest. Whether you're a leader or not, you get in this space where I just don't want to be bothered because I'm just not feeling well. And it really does impact relationships, right? It can even impact work. When you are not in a good space, like you're not responding to your clients, you're missing deadlines, all of those things impact us. So thank you for adding that. You're absolutely correct. And so what the self-care quiz did was it assessed the 8 dimensions of self-care. I'm going to share with you at the end my self-care workbook. So I created a workbook designed to help people actually improve the different areas of self-care. And these are the areas. So when we think about self-care, I find that many people only think that self-care involves like the physical part or the eating right. Right. We think like exercising, let me eat better. Um, or let me, for the women in the group, let me go get my hair done, nails done, right? Let me feel better. And that is a part of it. But That's not it in totality, right? So I always tell people, no, you got to do more than that. You got to do more. So of course we do have the physical part. Physical is the exercise. It is the nutrition. It is the sleep. Are we getting good sleep? But it also is, which we don't really talk about. Are we really taking advantage and making sure we're doing all of our preventative medical appointments? All right, think about it. Who has all of their preventative medical, dental, vision appointments on the schedule for this year? So we're only in March. You may have went to your doctor already for your annual appointment. Who has, and I want you to raise your hand, use that raise hand icon. Who has all of their preventative appointments already on the schedule for 2026? Any raised hands? Right? This is not me. This is where we find also people are not doing what they need to do just in the basic preventative piece. I did a workshop for some diversity leaders over in MSDC. And one leader said, she said, you know what, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. She said, one year I missed all of my appointments and didn't realize it. She didn't go to any, not one annual woman's appointment, not one physical, not one dental. She just forgot all of them. We are so ingrained in work that we are not even doing our basic things for ourselves. That has to change, right? So that's physical. Emotional, just how, how we're actually managing our emotions. That's the emotional piece. One thing I don't think people realize, financial. It's a huge part of self-care, right? Think about it. When your money is funny, as they say, how are we feeling? Not good. So having those different resources where you are managing your financial resources correctly, that's a part of self-care. Social, are we having supportive networks? Right? Are we minimizing our time with people that drain us and we're really increasing those times with people that enlighten us and bring us up, motivate us? That's social piece. Spiritual self-care, whether you're religious or not, spiritual is, are you connecting with deeper values and purpose, right? A kind of just a higher power in general for yourself. It's not just, do you go to church or, your religion. So it's more than that. And then intellectual or cognitive, are we constantly trying to make sure that we're learning not just work related things, but learning things outside of work, right? Constantly keeping our mind or us in this student position. That's the cognitive or intellectual piece. And then environmental. So we think about environment, we think about being one with nature, really going outside and experiencing that. But also think about your environment inside. How is your office space? How does your desk look right now? How does your closet look in your bedroom? Right? How does your bedroom look? Um, are we organizing our spaces so that they actually enhance our mental health? That's a big piece of environmental. And then occupational. Do we find value in the work that we're doing? Huge. A huge piece for occupational. So though these are the areas of self-care that we really have to make sure that we're focusing in on at all times. And so then I just wanted to show you how you can actually put them into place on a weekly basis. So Monday, thinking about physical self-care, having a 20-minute lunch walk. Easy way to, it's kind of cold in DMV right now, but can you walk inside? Does your company have a gym? Let's add that 20-minute walk in there. Tuesday for emotional, you can do a gratitude journal, right? I don't know if anyone journals. Journaling is so helpful for our mental health. If you deal with anxiety and depression, you need to be journaling. have a gratitude journal, have a prayer journal. It's really helpful for you. On Wednesday, social, having a coffee chat or have a lunch chat, right? Where you guys come together during lunchtime and have a social time. For Thursday, financial, it could just be you're reviewing all these subscriptions that we have that we need to be canceling, right? That could be how you integrate financial. And then Friday for spiritual, just having some reflection time. Really looking at how was your week, right? What were some of your wins? What things that you do that you were really proud of? That in itself is helpful for spiritual. All right. So this is just it helps you to just see how you can quickly integrate these things. And it's not like you have to have a lot of money to even do it. Most of these things, no money involved. Okay. Um, Michelle says, yes, journaling is awesome. Definitely is. Definitely is. And so then I just wanted to add in, how can we make sure that we're really utilizing our time wisely? So here are just some quick um helpful things that you can do throughout your days. So create focus blocks and task lists. I absolutely have to do this, okay? Because I am definitely ADD. So all my ADD, ADHD people, I totally feel you because that is me. I get distracted very easily. And so I have to create focus blocks for myself. And I also have to create task lists. And in my task list, or during my focus block, I say, okay, what on my task list do I want to get accomplished during this time? And then I give myself some time, whether it's a 60-minute focus block or a 90-minute focus block. I wouldn't go more than 90 minutes. You need about an hour and a half, then you need to take a break, right? It is not, we actually are not as what I want to say. We are not as productive if we just work, try to work through the whole day. We're really not. So that's a myth that, oh, if I just work straight for 3, 4, 5 hours, I can get more done. We actually don't. You actually don't get more done. Creating focus blocks actually helps you. You need breaks in between actually for your brain. You need some brain breaks. So let's start to just change how we are managing our day so we can actually get more done. And then applying the Eisenhower matrix to your task list. So essentially, what that looks like is you say, what is the most urgent? Right? Like, what is urgent? Like, I have to do this right now. And then what is important where, okay, it's not as urgent, but it's important. And so maybe I don't have to do this right now, but I need to get this done maybe by tomorrow. And then what is something I need to do, but it's not really important and it's something I can delegate. We have to be able to really pinpoint what on our task list we need to do, what we need to do right now, what we can do later, and then what we can delegate. Okay, that's the Eisenhower matrix. And then focus on quality results. Try to limit multitasking, right? Doesn't work. It doesn't improve our accuracy. So let's focus on one thing at a time. Actually, you'll get better outcomes. Um, and measure your progress by meaningful outcomes, not just by like activity. All right. So that's a change in our mindset. Focus on quality and not necessarily quantity. Because I can do 5 things mediocre, or I can do 2 things amazing and great, right? And so let's focus on quality piece. So hopefully that's helpful for you and you guys kind of take some of that, especially anyone that's struggling with, you work from home and really um getting focused to get things done. And then something that I really try to just tell everyone, not just entrepreneurs, but all of us, focus on what you can control, right? We cannot, yes, we can find ourselves really being like concerned about things that may be out of our control, but we cannot stress over things that are not in our control because it's nothing we can do about it. And so all you do is just put yourself in this cycle, right? Downward spiral whereas it's nothing you can do anyway. So how about we just focus on the things we can control, right? So then you can actually improve your mental health. So, because if I keep focusing on just something that I know it's nothing I can do anything about, I'm just always going to be stressed. And so, what can I, Christy, control in this moment? That's how you look at it. What can you control in this moment? You do the best you can with what you have. Always say that. So, if there's anything you take away from this, right? Focus on what you can control, because that in itself will help you better your mental health. Okay, so now we are on we know AI is huge right now, right? So many things going on, so much news around AI, but AI is actually helpful. And so really what I do for companies and business owners is really look at, how do you assess what you are already doing, right? Assess what's in your company, what's the operations, and what things can you actually then automate with AI. That's one way. Automated administrative tasks. Automate those tasks that you always have to do, but it takes you so long to do, right? Like, let's say if you have a report that you have to do for a client every month, you got to turn in this status report. Baby, throw that thing in the AI, let AI do that report, because it's going to take you hours and AI can do it in minutes, right? It's like those type of things. Let's free up some mental capacity. Um, that is really what we should be using AI for, helping us to free up capacity. If we are solopreneurs, allow AI to do some of this background work that you need done. So then you have more capacity to actually be the business owner, be the visionary. So allow it, automate some of those administrative tasks. Also, if you are putting out content, use AI to do that. I have a training on creating your AI assistant, right? You need to have, and at this point, we all should be utilizing AI, no matter if we're business owners or in a company, because it just helps us get things done without spending so much time to do it. So let's help, really utilize AI to draft those social media posts, create those social media pictures. Actually, if anyone saw my post that I posted for this event, I literally created that image with AI. I just used the background that, Metro sent about the event, and I used my picture and I created a nice little image about this for this presentation today. So utilize it, and it took me all of some minutes, literally. So make sure you're utilizing that. Also, use it to help you to make those decisions. So we talked about how when you're very stressed, your decision-making capacity goes down. Allow it, to really give you some data, analytics, so you can make informed decisions. You can really use it to search anything. When I am about to have a call with a new client, I go into Claude or chat and I say, hey, I'm about to meet with this client. And I tell her to give me a whole rundown. Give me a rundown of their goals, for the year, their strategic plan. What's their employee count look like? What's their workplace culture look, everything. And so then I have some data that I can then use for my call. So in minutes, right? And then if you have any type of customer service needs, creating different chat bots or automated responses, use it for that. So really use it strategically to help you to minimize burnout. All right. And then start small. It's so many tools out there. And I'm gonna give you a opportunity to get on my list, where I'm just really explaining about, different AI tools, really how to utilize it appropriately. But it's so many tools, but start small, one at a time. Find a tool that really fits your or addresses your one of your biggest time draining things, use that tool first, then start adding it more, right? Or else you're going to get overwhelmed. And then that's not the point of it in the first place. So let's make sure we do that. And then let me know if you have any questions, or put your questions in the chat for anything that we went over. And especially if you have any AI questions as well, just throw it in the chat so I can answer it at the end. But for the leaders, if you have a team, I just wanted to add in, how do we actually be the best leader through uncertainty? Here are some tips. Over communicate. Just be transparent about what you know. So many times, with uncertainty, it's a lot of things that we just don't know. But be honest about that, right? Let your team know, you know what, I really don't know right now, but I will go and find the answers, right? We're gonna find the answers together. I'm gonna go, find these answers for us. Over communicate, because when people are in these uncertain spaces, they start drafting their own opinion and thoughts about things, especially if they're not getting into communication. Okay. Stay adaptable, embrace change, and pivot quickly. If you're a business owner, I think one thing that we have to do, we have to be able to pivot, right? Whether we're pivoting on an offering that we had that's not working, right? Or a solution that we had that's not working, we have to pivot from that. Whether we're pivoting because, just kind of what we experienced last year on things changed, the landscape changed. And so we were in that DEI space. So that was like a main one of our focus. A lot of them, they had to pivot. And they had to pivot quickly. Always encourage innovation. We should be thinking about, how can we solve our clients' problems, right? For me and how I operate in Smile, I'm always trying to think outside the box. I focus on a topic that's very touchy-feely. A lot of people feel like, right? Mental health and wellness. But at the end of the day, it impacts everything with business. As we learned, if your leaders are not well, if your people are not well, they're not going to be productive. If they're not productive, that immediately connects to the bottom line. And so I always have to think about just outside of the box intervention solutions for my clients and for my clients to be, so that we can really show our value inside of these organizations, right? That's why we have had clients for so long. Like the Microsofts of the world. Microsoft is actually our client, but we've been working with them for like 5 years. We're only one of 3 mental health agencies, and the other 2 are huge, that they work with, and they have us do a lot of things. We actually just finished up a whole host of series of safe spaces for their gaming community. But it's that type of thing, right? Always thinking about, how can I be innovative in my approaches, but always also looking at, what does my client need? What are their challenges? What do they need? And then how can I, create something for that? Lead with empathy, acknowledge feelings and concerns. People are more emotional during times of uncertainty, and we're dealing with so much. And so just make sure you're leading with empathy. And then trust your own intuition, especially when making decisions, right? Making sure you're looking at the data, making sure you have the best solution for the interest of both your employees, but then also the company, always. How you should be looking at things. So that's just kind of some tips that I wanted to share. And then seek support. It's so important to be in community. I know, so I'm a part of the Boat Collective. If anyone have heard, I saw at least one of my boats on here. Hey, Allison. But you have to be in community with like-minded individuals, so that you not only can get business support, right? We need personal support. As entrepreneurs, we need to be in community. like we said, isolation is huge, even for executive leaders, right? If you're an executive leader on a call, you too, you need to find your community, because when you are dealing with something where you're having challenges, only people at your level can understand what you're going through, right? So, be in community. And yes, you still can, utilize your family and friends to be that support for you, but connect with other individuals who are in the similar spaces. Um, and then honestly, my opinion, if you are I feel like everybody, but if you are a business owner or if you are a leader, you need to have a therapist. It's no For me, it's like no question. We deal with too much on a regular basis to not be checking in with someone, to not have an outlet consistently, right? So let's throw away the stigma about, therapists are just for people that are, seen as crazy, whatever, right? If you still have that, you need to throw that out your mind. You need an objective person that you can speak with about all the different challenges that you're having. So if you need some help finding one, actually, I'm gonna put something in the chat. Psychologytoday.com, best place to start. Okay. Um, best place to start. Okay. Um, and then wellness coaching program. So we do that as well for our clients, right? So we have business coaches. A lot of us, probably all of us that are entrepreneurs, have business coaches. But how about if we actually had a coach that helped us take care of ourselves? It's like, yes, you can have a business coach to help you get this money, but if you are not well, you're not even going to do the things you need to do to get, the money. So, think about that as well. Um, think about that. Oh, I see another therapy person on here. Thank you for putting your information in the chat. Is it Latina? She said we provide therapy and wellness programs within those 8 dimensions of wellness. Okay, I have another colleague on that does it. Thank you for sharing that. It's huge. You need support. So reach out to me, reach out to Latina. We have to focus on our mental health and wellness. Okay, it's not an option. It's priority. So let's make sure we're doing that. And so I do see a question, and I'm going to get to that question as soon as I finish up with this slide. So I just added this because I think it's so important. When I read this quote, I felt like you're absolutely right. So Siobhan John, global wellness leader at Shopify, and runs her own business on the side. Um, when she hears the expression, when you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right? Who's heard that? I've definitely heard that, right? And I do what I love, and I work every day, hard, very hard. But um, what she says, and I'm gonna put my contact information in the chat as well. What she says is that in her experience, the opposite is often true. If anything, the more passionate and dedicated you are, the more mindful of burnout you have to be, because you're not necessarily going to put up the guardrails. I want us to think about that. Because most of us as business owners, we're doing work that we're so passionate about. We are just in it. We're working, we're not putting those boundaries up, right? We just working all type of nights. But it's because we're so passionate that we actually have to be even more cognizant of burnout. Okay. So I just love her saying this, and I want us to get that and understand it. And that's for executive leaders as well. So I'm going to go to this question Roger has. Do internal psychological barriers affect how a leader adopts or demonstrates self-care or creates safe spaces for others? Love that question. For example, if I'm a perfectionist or I avoid uncomfortable situations, that's a great, great question. It's an absolutely yes. Your personality, your different nuances absolutely affects how you even see self-care, how you adopt it, how you perceive it. Because if I'm a perfectionist, I always think everything has to be right. Everything has to be perfect, right? But you also want that, like, you also kind of put that on other people, whether you know it or not, because you are this way. And so it's difficult for you maybe to even understand when people make mistakes. Sometimes people that are like true perfectionists, they may have difficulty with responding in a more empathetic way if someone maybe on their team or otherwise makes mistakes, right? And we know that one, we're human, we're going to all make mistakes, and how you respond to that connects to your psychological safety piece, right? That's something that we touch on a lot. Are we providing psychological safety for our team, for our employees? Well, what if we don't think, or what if our motto is just like, no, I work, work, work till I get it done? And that's what you're putting on your team. Well, you're not creating a safe space for them to be able to take care of themselves, because in your mind, this is what you should do. And so now you feel like you put that expectation on everyone else. So it absolutely is a barrier. And so that's why we have to change the way we are looking at ourselves first, so we can then change how we are managing other people, right? And one great just also thing to think about, or example, if you're a person that works really late and you send your email, so like something comes to mind, you just on email, 11, 12 o'clock, 1 a.m., and you send an email to your team member, right? At this time, we have people that do that. People still do this. Your team member now have to decide, do I have to respond to this? Right? Um, and don't let them be younger and new, because they don't know, like, is this appropriate? Like, is this kind of the expectation of me to work even at 1 a.m., and respond to things at 1 a.m. when my boss sends it? And so we have to make sure that we are creating this space um, of good mental health in general. And so putting our barriers up, our boundaries up, schedule send. We have to train leaders. Schedule send those emails. Yes, you can be up whatever night time you want, even though you should. And if you have to get something off your mind, schedule send the email to come to them during work hours. That's an example of how you can make sure you're creating those safe spaces for other people to take care of themselves. Roger, I hope that was helpful and that answered your question. Please continue to put questions in the chat. Thank you. He said, love how you answer that. That makes a lot of sense. Great example on the internal psychological. Yes, it's important. So that's why we also need to know ourselves and what we need to work on. That's why we also need to go to therapy. Okay. Another tag for therapy. So I wanted to also provide you all some resources. So I have two different books out. I have this ebook. I actually just put this out last month. So this is a CEO focus kit. Essentially, what this does is it helps you to utilize AI, because that's what we should be doing, to really streamline your strategic plan. So if you have a strategic plan, you created it, it actually helps you create the strategic plan. It helps you put different steps in place for your strategic plan, but it also helps you break down what should you be doing each day so that you can accomplish those goals. I have the link here if you want to purchase that. I will also put the link in the chat. I'll put both because I'm about to go over another resource. I'm gonna put both links in the chat so that you can look over that if that's something you want to get. It is so important as business owners that we set ourselves up for success, right? And so I actually did a poll. What made me create this is I did a poll at the end of the year, and I asked people what they really needed. Business owners, like, what do you need to be successful? And so another thing that it does is it actually helps you to create your wellness plan as well. So it helps you to infuse that wellness plan inside of your week, and it helps you to set up your socials, so your content, batching your content. Like it teaches you, give you step by step on how to do all those things within AI, and not just on chat but also on Claude. I talk about Claude, chat, and Gemini. So if you know that you need that resource, go ahead and scan that and get it. You'll automatically get the ebook to your email. And then if for all those self-care reboot, you also you'll receive your email with a link to the book. But this is my self-care workbook. So like I said, it focuses on the 8 dimensions. It assesses you in each dimension so you really can see where you are. And then it actually helps you to create your plan of action for each dimension. So we use these a lot and pair it with our self-care workshops for a lot of our clients to be an additional resource. So you can scan that and get that. I'll put both of the links in the chat. Actually, let me just try to get it on there now. If you have any additional questions, make sure you go ahead and put that in there so I can go ahead and answer that. But I'm going to put the links in the chat now. So just in case you all can grab that. But the workbooks are exactly what they are. They're not just you read it and no, you actually are working through is questions, you write in the book. I wanted it to be a real resource that people use. We get books all the time, even self-help books. We might get it, read a chapter and never look at it again. It's just collecting dust. This is not one of those books. It is an actual workbook. So if you need assistance with really improving your self-care, the book is a perfect way to start. And then I wanted to just give you guys some other resources. So just some additional apps. You have the Calm app, psychologytoday.com. I put that in there. Headspace is another one. Mood, Insight Timer. We also have our own Refreshing Smile app. It's a paid app though, but essentially it's a workplace wellness app. We're using that for some of our clients, and they are getting subscriptions for their employees. It is many workshops, kind of similar to this, but many of those in a mini version, where we're having trainings on all different type of topics that really impact people, especially in the workplace. So you guys can reach out to me if you want any additional resources. But I wanted to make sure I at least try to give you some resources to help. Calm app, you can download that for free. That's very helpful, especially if you want to do hear some meditation, do some deep breathing. That's very helpful for that. So go ahead and make sure you get that. And then we're at the end. So what I want to do for people, this is my feedback form, so you guys can let me know how you enjoy the presentation, but you can also let me know, one, if you would like any consultation at all. And I have a anti-hustle community. Yes, because we are over this hustle. So if you want to join that community newsletter, where I'm going to be sending out newsletters around different things, and one of the main things is like different AI tools, like teaching you about it, helping you to like learn how to utilize it and how to integrate it into your business. So make sure you fill out the feedback form. The first 2 people who completed, make sure you put your name, contact information. First person that completed, I'm going to give you a complimentary copy of our CEO Focus Kit. So put your information on there so I can give it to you. The second person that fill it out, I'm going to get you the Refreshing Smile workbook, self-care workbook. So completed. I will know who filled it out first and second because it will just show me. So just make sure you put your name, information. If you want to connect with me, fill it out as well. Put your contact information. I will also put my email in the chat, so you guys can just email me if you want to just get on a calendar and just have a quick little consultation about anything. But that is all I have. So I hope this was helpful. Questions, what questions do you have? Comments or anything else, anything that wasn't clear. You guys can either come off mute, I think if they allow that, I don't know, or you can put your questions in the chat.
Well, Christy, while we are waiting to see if anybody has put anything in the chat, I just want to tell you, girl, I've been taking some notes today.
Good, good,
And
good.
I'm gonna tell you what I took notes on, and I want to say thank you, but I'm gonna put you on the spot, and
Okay.
I'm gonna welcome you to come back again, please. I'm gonna put you on the
Look, you get me
spot.
in Metro so you can see me more.
And
Okay, I'll
girl,
take that. Let me take that. Okay.
I am just like, yeah, this has been awesome. Like, okay, so I loved how you started out, about having us to think about what is a professional stressor, what is a personal one, because sometimes we don't think about it separating it, right?
Yep.
We just say stressor.
Yep.
But separating it well, to me, separating it helps me to think about um what category I should work on it in, right? If I'm working on something that deals with work, then I need to think about that environment and how can I do that. If it's a personal stressor, I need to think about my personal stuff that's
Yep.
going, so I like how made us think about it in that way. Of
Mhm.
course, the release tension stuff, the neck, the breathing, because we don't think about that first. We do not think about that first. That was really good information about having support people. When you talk about, people, family and friends don't always understand the life of an entrepreneur. That is 200% accurate. I take my own hat off, Christy, and I am on the ground. Okay. I am out there with the small business community. I talk to them, I meet with them, I hear their stories because it helps me to be a better listener for them. It helps me to come up with strategies on how to assist them from my standpoint,
Yep.
right? In the
Yep.
areas that no, you don't have a seat at this table, but I'm gonna represent you at this table because I
Good.
know your story,
Yeah.
right? So that part really helps me. Them having a support system from someone within, how you say, their own industries, that's 1,000 right there. Because then they can, have information to like, look, you went through this, how did you solve that? So it becomes more realistic for those
Yep.
type of things, right? The thing I really loved too was the early burnout systems that you talked about. Oh my God, totally detaching from work, the procrastination to the max, girl, physical, emotional, cognitive, behavioral. Like that's deep stuff. Like I'm thinking, okay, she Dr. Christie up in here today. Because it comes across in that way and it does affect us where we are at the doctors, right? Doctors of any type, whether it's our mental
Yep.
doctors, for different counseling or things, or it's the doctors that we go to for our physical health,
Yep.
right? So I love that part. I took notes on that and I did put in bold. It is difficult to come back from burnout.
Yes.
So try not to get there,
Yes.
So I did take big bold on that. I like that you put that quiz because that quiz makes us to go back to look at ourselves. We don't always want to look in that mirror,
Yep.
So yeah, I really, really like that. I took a note on your 8 dimensions of self-care. Having rotational self-care. That's something to think about and integrate as a habit.
Yep.
Like it doesn't have to be hard, right? And it made me think about, what, this rotational self-care, some of these things I can just do every day. Like I
You
can,
do.
it's not hard stuff. So yeah, girl, that was really good. And I like that you put out in the air that leaders need therapists. Okay. Yes, we do. We need a person as well to be an outlet,
Yep.
right? Another good, strong leader who can understand those pressures,
Yep.
right? And to be able to talk to them. And the thing I thought about was this: you have to also have relationships, right? when you're in your work environment, ask yourself, who do I have a relationship with when it comes to other managers, leaders, in those positions? And how well is that relationship? Can I even talk to them?
Yeah.
Right? So that could be a quick thing, but I love your reclaim your time and capacity. Now, we don't think about that. I'm gonna tell you, I don't. I don't think about it in the way that you put it because I'm not a techie person to be like, oh, let me use AI for this. Nope, that made me say I might need some AI classes or something, 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 because reclaiming time in a leadership position is
Major.
extremely important. And you can't put everything off on your staff. You as a leader have work to do too.
That's right.
You have work to do as well, right? So I just want to say, girl, thank you. Please say yes to coming back. These are reminders that we need throughout the year to kind of take us back, right? And I just want to thank you, girl. I just want to
Thank
thank you. I just want
you.
to thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for thank you for taking notes, right? And we all should have been taking notes, right? But it's important, and unfortunately, this really is life or death, right? And I
Mhm.
want us to really understand that because people are having heart attacks and strokes younger
Yes.
and younger. And we know why. It's not
Right.
a it's not it's not a question. People are stressed, and stress impacts us negatively on our bodies. And so it's not a, oh, nice to do, nice to have. It's a must. It's a
Yeah.
must. People are going into the hospital. I'm in several entrepreneur groups. And one of my groups, we had several individuals who ended up in the hospital. And all the tests, everything was done, and they couldn't really find anything. And what they found was that they were stressed out. They had to do something different. So, um, you know, I'm always grateful to have these conversations, especially with business owners. Being a business owner, I
Mm.
truly, truly understand what we go through, and I know that we are super stressed. Okay, I was
Mhm.
so stressed
Mhm.
last year; it was
Mhm.
crazy. Um, but how do we put things in place to manage that? Right? Because we're going to have
Right.
some stress, but how do we make sure we are doing what we need to do to take care of ourselves? So I just, I hope that this helps someone to do something different.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
That's
I'm gonna
my
tell you,
that's my
it
hope.
helps me. I was checking out the chat. You have a lot of kudos and thank yous in the chat. I don't really see any questions.
Yeah, I don't see any questions either, I don't think.
Please, I want everybody take some time, think about this, right? Do a self-evaluation and reach out to Christy, right? Just reach out to her just to say, hey, I want to come up with a plan for me. I need this plan so I can keep myself in check because sometimes we can be examples to other people.
Yeah,
We don't know who's watching us, who's seeing us, how
yeah,
how we handling our business
yeah,
because things look good on the outside, but it
yeah.
don't mean they great all the time. So, hey, take the opportunity, reach out to Christy. And I just want to thank you, Christy, so much
You're
for doing this
welcome.
for us
You're
today.
welcome.
Okay, so everyone, I am going to get ready to close us out. Like I said, I want to thank you, Christy. I also want to thank Charles. Now, y'all know I have to thank my Small Business Programs Office, who do our certifications outreach team. Thank you to the manager, Marlo. Thank you, Michael, Alicia, Shanae, Sierra, Heather, and Shalonda. That team is amazing. They make these type of things happen for our small businesses. And I just want to say from my heart, I thank you for all the hard work that you do in making these things possible from the background, right? I hope everyone who attended today was able to learn something to help themselves, to help yourself, to help your business, because you'll do better at your business growth. Okay. So just make sure that, hey, you taking care of business, right? One of the other things I want to have a reminder, I want to see all of you at our Meet the Primes. It is in person. It will be March the 12th. Check out the QR code. We look forward to you registering and seeing you there. Let me tell you something. This is sometime a standing room only event. And I like when the small businesses, they're able to show out, show up, do this for your business. So I look forward to seeing all of you come up in the house. Of course, I'm going to be there and I'm going to say hello and I'm going to welcome you. And we'll have other leadership there as well. So I am definitely looking forward to you coming. Don't forget about our other webinar on March the 18th, our cyber resilience. Okay. These are other things that help support your business, so you need to know about those type of threats and things that happen. Make sure that you register for that and tune in. We have some great information that's going to come out your way. So I definitely want to see everybody in the house on the webinar, and I want to see you in person for our Meet the Primes. Again, thank you all so very much. I appreciate you being here today. This means a lot to us when you show up and you show out, because we do this for you. Certification is the key to participation. Please make sure you send in your survey so we can continue to help you and to put these things on for you. We have some new things that we're already thinking about for 2027. So I'm telling you, I'm excited. Stay tuned. I want you all to have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.